Good morning. This is the Successful Funding Show. My name is Carl Dakin, and for those of you who don't know me, I go by the title of Capital Coach. My job is to help make projects get funding, making them fundable, because usually when something comes to my doorstep seeking funding, they're missing one or more, or maybe all critical ingredients to get funding. So I'm there to try to help put that together. And raising funding today is particularly challenging for those who are not familiar with the capital industry. It is an industry, it's like everything else, where it has its high points and low points. And we're currently in what you would call a funding drought, meaning that there is less money being invested by all the different people that are within the industry, and particularly managed money, institutional money, such as venture capital and private equity companies, PE firms, are making less dollar investments they have since 2020 in the midst of the COVID pandemic when everybody was still not clear what to do. And this is having all kinds of negative outcomes, as one might expect, for anyone who's trying to raise money because there's less money available. And that money that's out there has chosen to be more conservative. They've raised the bar, they've set the requirements higher before they'll invest. And this is particularly harmful to startup companies, young, innovative companies, because they're viewed as higher risk, which they are. But nonetheless, there's no money for them. And as much as this is bad today for young startup companies, new things entering the market, to have serious consequences down the road when these companies don't come into the market with new products or services. And we're going to see a capital drought followed by an innovation drought as this goes forward. But to talk about this today, as my guest, I have Matt Walsh with Splish Naturals. And for fairness and open, transparent disclosure, which apparently doesn't happen a lot these days. I am a minority shareholder and an officer in Splish Naturals, and that is a label which I'm proud of, despite the how would we call it, the compensation level I've received so far. So anyway, Matt, yeah, we need to put a smile on your face. I understand it's early in the morning here in Colorado, but tell people about Splish Naturals. Tell them a little of your journey to get to this point. And then I want to spend the rest of our hour talking about, well, how do we get funding at this point? Where does it come from? What do we need to do that's new and different from the classical common stand up on a soapbox at a pitch competition like Denver Startup Week that's going on this week in Colorado, and hoping that someone in the audience cares enough about what you're talking about to walk up to you and hand you a check afterwards, which is one of the myths that I have to deal with all the time. So, Matt, good morning.
Good morning, Carl. Thanks for having me again. I appreciate it. So let me tell you a little bit about Splish Natural. So we are a wellness company that develops topical products, topical CBD products that help reduce pain, inflammation, help promote relaxation. About 4 years ago, we expanded our business line to incorporate a plethora of different product lines to take a spherical approach towards wellness, towards pain relief, relaxation, de-stressing, etc. To incorporate PEMF, far infrared heated mats, to incorporate EMS, foot massagers, and we've got a litany of products in the development stages right now that, should we get funded, we can be able to launch, and I think will be highly successful and certainly fit in within the wheelhouse of our goal of creating this spherical approach towards wellness, and not limiting ourselves to any single silo of product or business line or customer base. As of, we launched the company in December of 2019. Needless to say, 3 months later, the world changed with COVID. We were strictly a B2B business at that time, and we were growing, to my satisfaction, quite rapidly with adding 5 to 6 or 4 to 5. I can't remember now. It's been a while, but customers a month. And of course, being B2B, every one of the Bs shut down in March of 2020, and many of ours never reopened. And those that didn't have the capital to invest in products, et cetera. But during that time, we rebranded the company from a Splish CBD to Splish Naturals to, again, take advantage of other areas that we could invest in and promote relaxation, pain relief, inflammation reduction, et cetera. And, we've spent the last now, 5+ years, one zigging and zagging like everybody else has, dealing with the COVID fallout, dealing with inflation, dealing with political blah blah blah, and global uncertainty as far as businesses, etc. However, we're still moving forward. We've spent a good amount of our last 5 years, bolstering our brand. It's not like we came in 2019 and we're a household name. So we've spent the last 5 years really trying to develop that. And as an example, we were the CBD line, the wellness line for the U.S. Open Pickleball Championship for a couple of years. For a season, we partnered with Lifetime Fitness in the Leadville Race Series. We most recently, as of last week, we were the chosen wellness partner for New York Fashion Week in perpetuity. And this is most people are familiar. This is probably the biggest thing that happens to New York twice a year when they roll out the different fashions. In this particular event last week, they're rolling out the spring and summer fashions for 2026. And we'll be returning there in February of 26 to roll out the fall and winter fashions. But we were chosen because the production company had been using our topical products very successfully. And when they decided that it was time to add a wellness theme to New York Fashion Week, we were there first. And as far as I know, their only choice. And they had all used other products, leading up to their choosing us, and hands down, ours were the most effective. They were right in the right price point, and we had the greatest diverse portfolio of products. So if you look at companies similar to us, which there aren't very many companies that are exactly similar to us. In fact, I don't know of any. CBD companies focus on CBD, mat companies focus on mats, etc. And we tie that whole ecosystem together into a single wellness brand, and that has taken us quite a ways. We were set up backstage. We set up what we call the Rejuva Lounge. This is for models, designers, VIPs, anybody that comes backstage, to help them prepare for the runway, and then of course help them recover afterwards. And we did have representation in New York, and she had done a great job communicating, helping, explaining, educating. And the feedback we've gotten so far, which is still very, very early because it just ended on Sunday, has been over the top positive. So again, this is all part of helping to develop a reputable brand, one that can be trusted by the end user, and in the case of our conversation today, investors who are seeking, an alternative investment opportunity with a company that has been striving and staying alive during these tumultuous times. And it's not going to take much to put us over the top. We also had the great honor of being featured in Business Life magazine. Business Life magazine was the onboard magazine for British Airways. Of course, when COVID happened, that all went away. So they privatized, and now we were featured in there as a traveler solution with our mats, because we make full-size mats and we make portable mats, and we make one in between. And this goes in, every airport lounge around the country, actually around the globe. It's in every Hilton hotel around the globe. It's in airlines now, especially Asian and European airlines. And so, we're getting a lot of positive exposure that, we've worked extremely hard to get. Just because you build it doesn't mean they will come. It might work in the movies, but it certainly doesn't work in real life. So yeah, it's been, it hasn't, there haven't been any straight lines. I can't say it's been easy, but we're persistent, and we're going to continue to be persistent because, one, we believe in what we're doing. Two, the customers who invest in our products, whether it's a topical product or a mat product, believe in our products. I get great feedback all the time, amazing testimonials. We just actually had a physician who had used our mats and was so impressed with the outcome, how he felt and what it did for him, that he wanted to become our, he wanted to be a spokesperson for us. So he put together a kind of a how-to video on the mat explaining all of its features, functions, how to do it, from simply laying it out, turning it on, and what you should expect. So we're hitting a lot of positive markers. Needless to say, to your point earlier, funding has been a challenge. And because we do have a line of CBD products, that creates challenges in the banking industry because nobody's lending money to a company in that space due to the banking laws surrounding the use of cannabis. So, we need to be creative, and we need to be, find believers and that see the future. What I love about many of our products, there's no shortage of science backing what I say about it. Our mats, for example, are FDA approved. Our EMS mats are FDA approved. We are looking to launch our Splish 2.0, which is hydrogen enriched water. Again, if we are able to raise some capital, we'll launch that. Again, it's an FDA approved product line that has a high degree of health benefits. And I love the fact that there's a lot of research and science behind it. So yeah, let's see where this goes. And, we're going to continue to keep pushing forward and fulfilling orders. And I believe in my heart of hearts that at one point we're going to get the right investor who sees what we're doing, believes in what we're doing, sees the future of what we're doing. Like him or not, RFK Jr., of course, is looking for a more holistic approach towards wellness within the government. And so, we fit right in the wheelhouse of doing that. If many of our goals include, getting people off of pills. There's a lot of studies now coming out, saying, that maybe child use of Tylenol is leading to autism. We already know that abuse of ibuprofen will destroy your kidneys. It'll destroy your stomach lining. And so we're trying to get people off of pills, take a more natural, holistic approach towards their wellness journey. And we've got the company, we've got the products, we're building the brand, we've got the reputation to fulfill all of that. And we're also creative. We're visionaries. We are looking at, we don't want to live on our laurels. Just like I said, we're not just a CBD company. We don't want to live on just the power of one herb. And just like that, we don't want to also rely solely on pulse electromagnetic field mats. But when you combine this, as I said earlier, into a versatile and cohesive ecosystem, we have something that nobody else has. And
yeah, so let's take that as a starting point. You're 5 years old. You've done some pivots. You started off with CBD only products, and then you started shifting, adding additional products to broaden your scope, to give you a better sense of wellness. And as you've been doing that, each of the new products is backed up with scientific data that shows that it does have true value in helping a person deal with pain and inflammation. So your image is changing, and some people, will consider that a challenge for you because they're going, well, yeah, you're 5 years old, but you're not the same company you were 5 years ago. And at the same time, in today's, show this picture real quick here, if I can get it up on the screen. And it's obviously going to be a problem for me here.
Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to take a sip of my coffee.
Okay, so can you see that on your screen, Matt?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, so this is a chart that came out from PitchBook. PitchBook is one of the leading, I'll call it reporters of information within the capital industry. And this just came out this last week, where they were sharing information about money that was being invested by private equity firms. And if you look at this chart, which may be hard to see on the screen, but essentially the investment in this last quarter was off 34% over this time last year. It's dropped down to a level we haven't seen since COVID, and it is a reflection of uncertainty in the capital industry about where to go. It's a reflection of the fact that a lot of investments were made over the last 4 to 5 years that started with low interest rates and then got hit between the eyes by high interest rates, which completely blew up their business models and destroyed the ability for the investor to get their money back at a higher price than what they put it into the investment. And because they can't get out, there's no exits, as they call it. There's no way to liquidate the investment without taking a haircut, without losing money. There is no money rolling over. It's not coming back into the marketplace. And so we've seen this serious, sharp decline in new investments. And this is where we're at today, where a business that like is looking to raise funding like Matt's is going to have to step into this market and say, hey, I've got a good company. I'm doing the right things. I'm checking the boxes. I'm demonstrating my tenaciousness, my survivability, and I have products that are of value to a large number of people. And yet the common classical investor, the angel investor, the private equity firm, those who think only about return on investment are saying, yes, but I'm not investing today. I'm spooked by the market. I don't want to make an investment, or I don't have any money to invest because it's tied up in my old bad investments. And so they're not available as a potential source of funding. And even where they are still making investments, they're saying, well, we're going to cherry pick. We're going to look at those with high rates of return, even if it's short term, rather than long-term growth. And they're playing this kind of a game where to them, they're making good decisions in their own self-interest, but that means there's less and less money available to companies like Splish Naturals. So at this point, obviously, one of the strategies is to be last man standing, meaning that if this trend continues over a period of time and Splish Naturals is still here a year, 2, 3 years down the road, it'll be one of the few companies that can go out and seek money when the money starts flowing back in to these types of investments. But that's really not, that's a painful strategy. We also, Matt is basically engaged in what we call bootstrapping, meaning you have to bring your own money to the table. You have to make every dollar count 4 or 5 times, which means you're very efficient. It's actually a very attractive characteristic of a small business. But again, it's very painful. And the growth is very slow because you need other money, outside money, in order to push sales, to push your message, to get more inventory on the shelf. All these things need to happen in order to grow up. So in my motivated money approach, I like to look to people who have a reason to invest. And we tried a crowdfunding campaign a couple years ago, and it didn't go anywhere. We simply didn't have a large enough audience, didn't have enough people that we could tell the story to. The story was not as strong as it is today. Matt has accomplished so much in the last 2 years since we tried the crowdfunding campaign that now makes him look better, stronger, and tells a better story. But still, you have to get out to lots and lots of people to raise money through crowdfunding. So it kind of falls back to then who has money, who's not a classical investor. I call these people strategic investors. They're typically people that are involved in your supply chain, a supplier, a vendor, a reseller of your product, who may benefit from all this because they have more sales and therefore more profits, and they want to stay in the game. So that's one candidate to look at from a strategic standpoint. And it's still not something where they just show up on your doorstep. They're not necessarily looking for you. They don't know that you exist, maybe. So we go all through the usual problems of raising funding. You've got to be visible, you've got to stand out from your competition, you have to present a viable investment opportunity to them as they define it from their unique specific position. And then at the end of the day, there's still got to be enough money there for somebody to make an investment. So at this point, it seems like that there are opportunities in and around some of the new products that you're bringing to the market. Recently, Matt, I know that you completed a demonstration of your product in a hospital. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And then let's talk about how that might serve as a jumping off point for a new capital raising strategy.
Yeah, so this is where the diversity of our product lines really comes into play. Because when somebody says, "Who's your customer?" Well, we've got a diverse customer base. Might have started out with spas. It might have then obviously we went into sports and athletics, but now we've got products in infusion centers. Recently, we've been approved by Common Spirit Hospital System, which is the largest Catholic hospital system, as an approved vendor to install mats in chemo infusion centers, and in their employee wellness lounges. I think if there's any silver lining to the opioid crisis, and I'm not advocating that there is, but now medical facilities, physicians are also now looking at alternative ways to provide comfort, healing, pain relief, inflammation reduction to their patients, which is opening up doors for us when maybe a couple of years ago, nobody in that field would talk to us, and now we're an approved vendor. So it opens up doors, it opens up opportunities that didn't exist a couple of years ago that we're certainly going after, with both hands. And so we're very proud of that, especially the feedback we get from patients who have had the opportunity to sit on a mat while being infused. I can't speak that I haven't had that experience, and I thank God for that every day. However, those that do, there's a certain amount of stress, uncertainty. And what our mats, based on coming from patients who have sat on the mats while being infused, it's the first time I felt human. It's the first time I felt relaxed. It's the first time I actually felt good while going through this procedure. And so it's exciting for us. And we hope that it, of course, opens additional doors down the road. It could be whether it's kidney, dialysis centers or other hospital systems or other privatized infusion centers, whether it's simply for hydration or other medical treatments that a patient might be receiving. So again, because of how we have branded our company and taken this spherical approach, doors are opening that would never have opened if we remained in a single silo, whether it was a CBD company, a MAC company, whatever. And so, so this is all very exciting for us, especially at a time where, it's challenging out there. There's no doubt, people are paying more attention to what's going on in the news, spending a little less time on their own self-care. And we're out there advocating it. And it doesn't mean you have to go out and join a high dollar gym to do it. Okay.
Well, yeah,
yeah,
so
so working with Common
is it,
Spirit is a good stepping stone for us.
yeah. So this again presents a challenge for people who are bringing out new products where you may provide it to a customer, the customer benefits greatly from it. They share their story with you, and this validates to you that your product is working, that it's providing a benefit. But in the capital industry, this is called an anecdotal story, meaning that the person who's telling you this, your customer, is speaking from their own perception, their own capability of describing, quantifying, qualifying how well this works. And because of that, it has a lower level of credibility. It's better you than your statement, saying it yourself because it's coming from the mouth of your customer.
Right.
But nonetheless, once you get into this area, people start asking the question, well, can you verify that? Does this work for everybody? Are there any downsides? And this is where the FDA, as a regulatory agency, gets involved. And they start saying if you're going to tell people that it's benefiting them, you also have to consider any possible safety concerns. And so you go through a process within the FDA of trials and tests to say, this is how we used it, this is what happened, and nobody or very, very few people had any adverse effect. And so these kinds of studies, tests, and certifications elevate the quality of the product, make it more visible, and within this world, to some degree, there are certain groups who will not buy the product because they can't. They're prohibited from using anything that is not certified to a certain level. There are lawyers looking at in the self-interest of the customer, of the large organizations, going, until you have more data, we don't want this to be used because it could cause us liability of some kind. So you have to go through a series of steps, and this is expensive, it's time consuming, it requires more capital when you don't have capital. But nonetheless, it is considered part of the creed, so to speak, of if you're going to go to market here, you've got to figure out how you can get a study done. Matt has a doctor who's just given a testimonial. That is the kind of thing you're looking for. But beyond that, a clinical trial would be another level. So we have started discussions with a group about doing a clinical trial. And just to be clear, this represents a new sales challenge. Just because you have a product that may provide a benefit, there is a cost to a clinical trial, and therefore it's another form of pitching for funding. You're saying, well, yeah, if you gave me the money, I'll just go buy the clinical trial and make it happen. But if I want somebody to sponsor the clinical trial, it's a different type of raising capital, which may be easier than going to some angel investor or PE firm right now because they're, as shown on the chart, they're not really investing money today. And so you have to put together a different story, a different pitch. You have to put in the context of the person you're talking to. And in this case, we're talking to a charitable group about paying the cost of doing the clinical trial because it's within their mission to help the people who are suffering to have this kind of benefit. And so that is itself its own type of capital raising campaign. It parallels what you would do in a straight up ordinary campaign, but you got to do things a little differently. You got to tell the story differently. You got to fit it to the purpose. So the key thing there is when you define the outcome, you want it to tell the story well enough that it will attract capital to you to make that happen. So,
Carl, I just put in the chat the physician, the video that they put together, talking about her, man. I just put it in the chat for anybody that would like to see it. I don't know if it showed up or not.
well, I will do that. So anyway, we have with us this morning in our audience, I just opened up chat because I was lost in this conversation, but Omar is with us this morning. Hi, Omar, good to hear from you. Omar has his own show, and Omar, I'm telling you right now that going the wrong way. You should have Matt on your show. He does a program where he likes to dive deep into certain personalities, and he goes like, "Who is this person? Where do they come from?" And he was in town here in Denver a couple weeks ago, and it was one of those things where at the last minute we just kind of jumped on and recorded a show. It was not planned, wasn't scheduled, and he showed that last Sunday. And because it was unscheduled and we had no script and no direction, we were having a good time, and it kind of reflected itself in the content of the show. But yeah, this is something that I've been talking to Omar about because he likes to have kind of quiz show type of things. I said, well, we should have one on how to raise funding, or better yet, what entrepreneurs know about funding. So we're working through a design on that. But thanks for being with us. And then uh, you put it in the private chat. So I'm going to do this. 1 second. I'm going to come back over here and put this into a caption. And there it is on the screen. So if you would like to see this doctor talking about the use of these mats, and Matt, talk about your mats. This is one of these. Tell us a little bit about what they are and why they're viewed as important and of value to someone who's undergoing some kind of pain, inflammation, or other problem.
So our mats, and we've got several of them, but if we talk about the rejuvenation mat, which is in the YouTube video, there's 5 healing modalities that are within this mat. We have far infrared heat. Far infrared heat is the safe heat that we get off the sun. That it helps relax the body. It helps increase blood circulation. It relaxes the muscles. It helps the body produce vitamin D. A relaxed body heals more rapidly. The mat produces negative ions. Negative ions are a natural element of the earth. When you walk inside, we're getting hit with 0 negative ions. But if we were all standing at the base of Yosemite Falls in California, we're probably getting hit with 350,000 negative ions per square centimeter. Why are negative ions important? Well, negative ions are, again, a natural element that help bolster the immune system, purify the blood. They help relax the body, relax the mind. They help people with a, better night's sleep. Help with people who are under enormous amount of stress to help relax them. They also help eliminate free radicals in the body. So they have a great deal of benefit. We have pulse electromagnetic field. So the earth has a very low frequency, which the body mimics of about 8 cycles. I say about 8 cycles because one time I was doing a presentation and there happened to be a geologist in the room who said, well, it really depends on where you're at between the poles. So a normal healthy body will mimic the earth's frequency. It's a very low frequency. Our mats can lower the body's frequency down to 3 cycles. Why would you do that? Really, it's about being able to get a better night's sleep through the night, help relax you, calm you. And again, it also promotes healing because a relaxed, calm body will heal more rapidly naturally. We can increase the frequency all the way up to 64 cycles, so 8 times what the earth is giving you. And you might go, well, whoa, why are we doing that? Well, a lot of reasons. First of all, maybe it's just you're not a morning person. You want to energize the body for the day. It's a natural way to improve your energy level without drinking 3 Red Bulls, okay? And it's very natural. It's very holistic. We've had athletes, spanning from the NFL to pickleball to professional tennis, use the mats as a way to recover from a match, a game, whatever. And now most of them use them to prepare, energize the body, warm the body up before you get out. And they're noticing a marked difference in improving the reduction of injury. And when they go out, and then there's 8 range, there's ranges in between with different things, whether helping you with clarity, memory, creativity, etc. The mat also has TENS. A lot of people are familiar with TENS, transcutaneous nerve stimulation. If you've been to a chiropractor or physical therapist, or maybe you've purchased a portable one online, this has it built in that it gives you the opportunity to again control the intensity, the location of the body. Might be that you pulled a hamstring, and this is and again another tool to use to help get you back in the game. The mat also has gemstones in it, so there's a lot of research behind the power of gemstones to help again reduce inflammation, help reduce pain, help calm the mind. The difference between the rejuvenation mat and our chakra mat is the chakra mat has all the same healing modalities, but it also has the addition of red light therapy. Red light therapy, again, and if we go through each of them, the PEMF is an FDA researched and approved healing modality. TENS, far infrared heat. A lot of people are familiar with far infrared heat saunas, and I get the question all the time, well, what's the difference between what you offer and a far infrared heat sauna? I said, well, one, ours has more healing modalities, but we're talking maybe differences 100 square feet and about $5,000. And
Well,
so
also you can't put a sauna in your chair. So
you
I
can't.
think that there's
Yeah, so with the red light therapy, again, this is red light was researched way back in the early NASA days on how you're going to light a space capsule in the the blackness of space, and red light was definitely a form of lighting a capsule that they 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 um, they incorporated. So, the mats are very versatile. We have them in different sizes. I like to sometimes say the full size mat is a 45-pound yoga mat. It's not as mobile as the other ones. And then we have the Rejuva Lounger, which is a smaller version. It only weighs 18 pounds. And then we have the portable, which a lot of athletes purchase because it fits under the seat in front of you on an airplane or the overhead compartment. It's easy to travel with. It's also great for executives or anybody that's sitting in a chair all day. They can attach it to the chair and control, have full control over what the mat will present and offer to you as far as relaxation and healing. And if you start dozing off, you don't want that fifth cup of coffee. You have the ability to increase the frequency and give you a natural increase in energy levels. And we've seen this over and over again. I've sold mats to individuals ranging from, early 20s to octogenarians who are looking to boost their energy levels, and they've all come back with positive feedback. Wow, this is amazing, and I feel good. And I always tell people, I said it's almost an indiscernible level increase in energy. It's not like I said, you could drink a Monster drink or a Red Bull and all of a sudden you can feel that immediately in the head and the jitters. This does not provide that. It's natural.
Yeah. So you have these products. We've got more data. We're collecting more data. We're working to elevate the perspective of people who might buy the product or resell the product or offer it as a service within a corporate wellness center, within a medical facility, within a spa. So all these opportunities are there. It would seem as though that somewhere along this path that money should come running, but it hasn't happened in the current drought, the financial drought that we're in. It's going to require a little more precision strategy to figure out who to talk to, how do you tell the story, how do you get in. So as you're out prospecting for new customers, how do you potentially combine that with a capital pitch? Do you try to get them sold on the product first and then talk to them about investment after, or how are you thinking about doing that?
Well, in the case of the hospital environment, I'm not talking about raising capital. I'm talking about healing and helping patients and employees of the hospital or the wellness center. More recently, as I said earlier, we are the official, and I want to emphasize official wellness partner for New York Fashion Week. And we gifted some products to the models. They held a charity event on Saturday called Project Lab Coat, and they were actually supporting nonprofits in the space of Lyme disease. And we did extensive research on what the mats can provide as far as comfort. It doesn't solve the problem, but it aids in comforting. And we had provided, due to this charity event, that's the night that all the quote unquote VIPs show up, and they range from not just designers, but celebrities, artists, CEOs of companies, and we gifted each of them a couple of products, and put in a wellness card. We didn't really take a dive in raising capital, because I didn't want people to think here I am with my hand out. And since this is just the first fashion week that we've attended, we'll be at every one of them twice a year now going forward. This will give me more of an opportunity to have more one-on-one conversations with not just models and designers. And all the designers were there. I mean, this is an international show where they come in from everywhere. Models come in from everywhere. VIPs come in from everywhere around the globe. And so in February, we'll be again attending it. And this will give me more of an opportunity as a one-on-one to share more about the company. And oh, by the way, we're seeking to increase, or raise capital to do this, that, or the other thing, so that it's not just like, I'm not there with the hands out. No, we're trying to take a deep dive in helping people, and we're trying to do it naturally.
Yeah, so this is a very key thing that I think too many businesses, too many entrepreneurs just don't understand, and it basically can destroy their capital campaign. The classical approach is somebody needs money, and they go out and they try to find somebody who's got money, regardless of their background, regardless of interest, and they say, "Give me money." The first words out of their mouth are, "I'm raising funding," which is about the quickest way to turn off somebody's brain waves, because immediately all the defenses go up. It's like the alarms go off, the lights start flashing, and the person who's hearing these words is shutting down and backing away. They're calling for their security and saying, "Get this person out of here." And it basically, what the entrepreneur has done is they've talked about themselves, and they haven't thought about who they're talking to. They haven't considered, is this person even a viable investor candidate? But even if they are, back to the three keys I talk about all the time in raising funding, the first one is trust. If they don't trust you, they're not going to invest in you. And you cannot do an instant flip a switch trust kind of a thing. You can't walk around with a little box and say, "Hey, flip this switch and trust me 100%. You have to build a relationship, and this sometimes has to require a lot of time. Meaning that what Matt's doing here is he's saying, "I have a product. Let me show you how it works. Let me show you that it benefits people. Let me show you where my care, my concern is in helping people." And by doing this in stages over a series of events, he's building that relationship, and he's building it to a level where if the question comes up, "What are you doing?" "Well, we're getting ready to raise funding," or "We're raising funding." The person doesn't run away at that point in time, because they already know him, trust him, and they've seen the outcome of the product. They have an ability to independently evaluate how it works. So that basically you've done a pitch almost in reverse, which is you did your demonstration, you proved what they're interested in. You're now talking to them about what they care about. You've brought them around to your side of the table, as I call it. You're not across the table from them bargaining for investment. You're both on the same side, working towards a common goal, which is not investment, but towards helping people, in this case, who are suffering from pain and inflammation, and improving the wellness of the person. So now that you both have a common goal, and it's recognized that it's sincere on both sides, there's a framework within that relationship to have a conversation about funding, because they're like, "Well, I like what you're doing. Why aren't you doing more?" And you're going, "Because I need more resources than I currently have." Fair statement, fair response. So going back in February now would be a natural time for this conversation to occur. There may be ways where this conversation can be elevated or make it more likely to occur where the topic of capital will circle into the middle of the conversation. But it's based on all the prior work of building the relationship, understanding commonality, creating an affinity between yourself and the potential investor candidate. And in this case, we're not talking to classical investors. We're talking about strategic investors, one who can benefit from the investment outside of the investment. And in this case, it may be they're looking to benefit their workers, they're trying to benefit their industry, they have some reason to do this, which is not return on investment. It's not that they don't want to get money back if they make the investment, but the greater value to them is how this helps somebody that they care about. And because there's a shared interest in helping that person, now the alignment occurs and now the pitch can happen and it will stick. Now the person may not have money to invest, their money may be invested elsewhere, but they may also give you a referral or help you find that person who can write a check and move everything forward. And it is so important to be patient, however painful, to go through this process. And this is, I think, one of the things that Matt has done well is he's continually worked to help people understand the product, understand the benefits, to demonstrate this so that they can see and hear and understand how it works. And at the same time, he hasn't been in their face going, "I'm an entrepreneur. I entitled to money. Give me money," and basically just pushing the person away. Um, so Matt, as we wind up here today, looking forward, you've got this Denver Fashion Week in February. What else are you thinking about that will help you get in front of somebody that might invest in your company?
That's what this show's all about, Carl.
Yeah, yeah. So
You know,
we're going to
one
have
of
a
the
feature here
conversations,
where you can just throw money at the guest, and we're working on that. But it's not.
generally what I'll do is if I'm speaking to somebody, whether it's a physician or, anybody, and in February, I generally, when if I've piqued their curiosity because they've tried the product and they appreciate the product, they found it to be effective. Obviously, if a product is not effective, then game over. I always like to tell people I would not sell you shampoo that isn't going to wash your hair. Okay. Because if I did, I've lost you forever. So, promoting a product that is highly effective, which all our products are, collecting those testimonials, that feedback. But when I do have a conversation with anybody, and whether it's a relative or somebody that's been sent to me, I'll talk about what we're doing, where we've been, again, establishing the trust. For example, almost the same way that we got into New York Fashion Week, we got into the 22 Grammys and we got into the 23 Oscars, the PR firm that happened to be promoting all those, shows and events started using our products by chance, by accident, on purpose, and reach out to us and express their interest in having us involved. So establishing that trust and having that, being able to say this and I'm not blowing smoke. These are events that actually occurred, makes it easier. But then I'll talk a little bit in our next project we want to do, for example, is Splish 2.0. And I'll go in and I'll explain the benefits of hydrogen enriched water, and how it's going to benefit whether it's a model or a middle linebacker for the Denver Broncos. And it generally says I get the question like, "Oh, well, how can I buy it?" I said, "Well, we're not there yet." I said, "This is part of our capital raise process because we've done the research, we've branded, we've got the branding, we're ready to go. We just need the capital now to take us to the next level." So that sort of plants the seeds in a more benign fashion rather than me punching somebody in the face saying, with my hand out. It's just not a comfortable approach. And I don't think it's the right approach, especially in the confines. And if I can demonstrate benefit to the individual who might be willing to write a check, And maybe they have a family member who's been infused with chemo. Maybe they've got kids that are athletes and would love to see them, flourish and recover more rapidly. Then all of a sudden I become almost not just a company they want to invest in, but a partner in their wellness journey and their life's journey with their friends, their family. And that's the ultimate goal. At the end of the day, we want to help people. We want to heal people. We want them to not be concerned about, if I take too many of these pills, is it going to destroy my stomach lining? Well, the answer to that question is yes, but it's not our approach. We've also diversified how people can pay for their products with us. So we are now HSA and FSA approved, so that people who maintain those types of accounts can go to our website and purchase with a letter of medical necessity, to purchase any product on our website, which opens up opportunities, because if they are putting money into an HSA account or an FSA account, HSA rolls over, FSA use it or lose it. This is a great way for people to get into our products, especially the higher dollar products. And when we talk about higher dollar products, certainly I'm talking about our mats, but I'm also, our mats are priced in such a way that they're in many cases several $1,000s cheaper than our comp set. And that just fits in with our tagline of everyone deserves wellness. We're not hen picking. We're not saying no. We want to heal everybody. And if I charge $5,500 versus say $1,300, I'm going to cut out a whole litany of individuals who could afford to buy it, even with an HSA account. With the average HSA accounts usually around $3,000, $3,500. So a $5,000 mat, not going to make it. So anyway, yeah, I mean, we're innovative, we're creative. We recognize that, it's tough. We've been through, very challenging times. And to your point earlier, I'll be the last man standing. And and if the dollars don't show up from an investor, which hopefully will at some point in time be able to hit that one out of the park, then I'll just continue to push hard, grow the business organically through natural sales, and hopefully get to a point where we're seeking a level of revenue, or the money starts to loosen up and we can find the right investor to take us to the next level.
Yeah. Well, I think this is all good examples of what an entrepreneur, a small business should be doing, particularly in these limited financial times, to get out there and tell your story, to build your story, to create credibility, to create relationships. Yeah, the second key is that your investor has to have money, and right now that's getting hard to find. But moving from an ROI investor to a strategic investor, someone who may want to resell your products or services, such as the hospital you mentioned. These are all people out there who have a different approach to how and why they raise money, how they invest that money, how they go about doing business. And so it gives you more options than simply waiting for the market to recover, trying to avoid being the last man standing by still being here 2 or 3 years down the road. So Matt, thank you for being with me on the program. What I'd like to do is invite anyone who is interested in raising funding. I offer a free 15-minute consultation to try to not solve your entire problem, but get you past whatever your current challenge may be in raising funding. And that's just go to my website to get the information. You can also just send me an email at kdakin@dakincapital.com. I am publishing a newsletter on raising funding. It hasn't been as frequent as it's been in the past because I'm involved in several capital campaigns currently. which are sucking up all my time. And I apologize to everybody who I still owe a return response or something, but please reach out to me if you'd like to talk to me about this. And then in addition, we do this show pretty much every Tuesday morning. We've only had a couple misses because of conflicts or problems with this platform. But those have all been worked out. So hopefully we're all good. And this is then recorded. So you can watch it at a later time on LinkedIn and on YouTube and fit it into your schedule. I don't know that it's going to beat out watching your favorite football game on Sunday, but some people may think that, if they're watching baseball this week, it may be better than their favorite baseball team. So with that, thank you everyone for being with us today. Appreciate everyone who has listened in today or may watch this recording in the future. I hope you all learned something from being with me and Matt Walsh, the CEO of Splish Naturals. And reach out, think about wellness in your life, think about how wellness is critical to everything you do, no matter what activity you're in, and then think about who cares about that, who's willing to step up and raise funding. And if you happen to know someone where this is front and center to them, give Matt a call, let him know that you know someone he should be talking to. And let's see what we can do to help move Splish Naturals forward and make wellness, as he said, everyone deserves wellness. That's the phrase, and it's meant. It's not simply a tagline. So thank you all for watching today, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, Carl.